everyone, so this video is going to be showing a bunch of assignments that I completed in a year of art school, specifically illustration, and I have two other videos that kind of show all the process work that went into it, which I think is even more interesting than the finals because there's so many sketches that I flip through and there's so much work that goes into each and every one of these assignments, but I have the stack of finals as kind of a continuation of those videos, so all that process kind of created these. So this is actually was an assignment to learn how to use pen and ink. So we got real bugs to work with. They were dead bugs. There's a big collection and we had to do a realistic one in pen and ink. I wasn't like the biggest fan of this project, so that's why I didn't really treat it very well. We had to do a silhouette of it, which went by really fast. We had to do one that was alternative marks, so you can use stuff other than just like stippling and cross-hatching. And then there was this one, which we used stuff other than pens, so like whatever you can get your hands on, you dip it in ink and create the bug. So this project was interesting. It kind of dragged on for a really long time. I think it could have been completed in a lot less time than we had, but it was one of the first assignments of the year, so that's understandable. This was actually, I posted this to my Instagram, but this was one of the most interesting projects because we had to plan out a three-dimensional sort of big necklace, and we had to use Illustrator to make the lines, and there's a laser cutter at school, and we cut around our layers, glued them all together, and painted it, and then we have this cool little wooden thing, and it was one of the most rewarding projects in my opinion. It was a lot of fun. So this is one of my favorites. It's always hanging on my wall, just because I think it's kind of cute, and a lot of time went into it. And it's also posted on my Instagram if you want to see clearer shots. This was a band poster assignment, and I'm going to move the camera so you can see this better. We had to do a mock band poster, and I chose Mother Mother because they're one of my favorite bands, and I really liked their fish theme of their album, so I decided to take that and make it into a heart, and then I just sort of made it a rainbowy sort of poster. This is printed at Walmart, and it's kind of beat up, but it's just a print, so it's not like it's an original. There was a lot of process for this assignment, which was a decorative assignment, so my two themes were summer and fishmonger, so it's kind of like a fish market in the summer, and it's supposed to be decorative because there's like a zigzag here, and all the birds are kind of a random pattern, and then all these lines, it's kind of decorative because it's a pattern, it's based on a pattern. And there's a colored version, which is here. I kind of like the black and white better. I just think it's cleaner and it pops more, and the color version isn't very clearly summer, but I had a lot of fun with these. I really dug in and took my time, and I planned it really thoroughly, and I just remember painstakingly painting this in gouache, and this is not the style that I like to use because it's just so crisp, and it's just not, it just takes too much time, and it's just not a very joyful way for me to paint, so I don't really do that anymore. This was a recent assignment that you would have seen on my Instagram, and I just painted on Mylar. We got to kind of do whatever we wanted, so I wanted to do sort of a greenhouse with a girl looking at a cute little frog in a watering can. I had a lot of fun with the textures and using this material. I used both sides, so I painted on the back and the front. It was a very interesting experience. I don't know if I would do it again. Here's another final. You're supposed to show the concept bound together. That's what I chose. And I was never fully happy with the style of them or the rendering. I'm okay with the way the background turned out, but there was something about this that always bothered me. And I just feel like I could do it better if I redid it. This one is also bound together with a bunch of birds, and their wings are connected, but the composition kind of gets lost here. I think it could be cropped and just be much better. But I do like the way I painted this, and I need to explore this more because I had a lot of fun with this. I might actually do this sort of technique in an upcoming video. It's kind of nice to look back at this and also to kind of document all of my assignments just so I can look back at them. So here's the final info illustration, and you had to investigate an object and kind of deconstruct it, draw all the components, and find a way to present it so that you can see how it works. So with the coffee maker, you put the water in, it gets cold, it heats up in the coil, it comes out through this spout, and that's when it goes through the coffee grounds. And this is the inside portion where the water heats up. The coffee mug, how the lid connects, this thing shown bigger. If I were to do it again, I would probably show a little bit more of the details and add a title. But I am very happy with how this turned out because I put so much time into this, hours and hours and hours. It's not the kind of illustration I'm interested in doing, but I definitely enjoyed the process because I would have never done this if it wasn't for school. I would have never drawn a coffee maker and how it works. So I'm grateful for that experience for sure. What's in here? Some finals I had to put in a folder because there's a lot of them. Oh yeah, here's a lino prints. I'm not happy with the way I designed this because the boy gets completely lost. I would redo it if I could, but it's always that way. So I'm just going to show you a whole bunch of different ones. It was a story about a wolf and a boy on a roof, and the wolf was waiting for the boy to come down or something. I can't remember the details, but I'll just show you all the different prints I made. This is on craft paper. This is on a type of Japanese paper, which is pretty cool. Cannot see this one. A white ink on craft paper. Just black ink on paper, which always is a nice classic thing. Craft paper again. Black on printmaking paper. Green, lime green on printmaking paper. Some more Japanese paper. A colorful one. I quite like this one because it was just fun. Oh, this one folded. The reason why I made so many was because I would carve away some bits and reprint it. I would try different color combinations, different amounts of ink on the plate, or not the plate, but the block of lino. I don't think I have it with me. But it was definitely a lot of fun to use real presses. I don't really know if this is how I would make art, but I mean, maybe every once in a while it'd be fun to play around with this. Who knows what the future will hold. Here's another one with many different things inside of it. So this was copper plate etching, dry point etching. So you can kind of see what I did. It's like an old woman's face. I kept the plate just because I think it's cool to have. And then you just cover it in ink, you wipe away the ink, put it through a press, and the wet paper absorbs where you scratched into the copper. It absorbs the ink. So I'll show you. I don't know if I have the other masks. I don't think they're in here. But here's how one turned out. Don't really like that one. I like this one a lot more just because the face kind of fades in. I never posted this to my Instagram. I probably should have, but it's so different from the rest of my art. Not that that's a bad thing. Some scratchboard tests, and I don't have my scratchboard final in here. I don't really know where it went. I think this was my favorite one. But copper plate etching is such a neat medium. I would encourage you to try it if you can. I know some people do it with like acetate and other kinds of stuff too. It doesn't have to be copper, because copper is expensive. This was one of the last assignments. I'm not really happy with how this turned out. I used too many lines in the face, but I do like the veggies. That's like the only part I'm kind of happy with, and like this area of the coat. Though we got a little photo of someone and we had to age them up and kind of give them a backstory. So he's just like a gardener. He just became a gardener. That's the long story short. And it was a watercolor assignment trying to create lots of texture and stuff like that. This is based off of song lyrics. We had to find a metaphor from the song and illustrate it. And this is one of the favorite things I've made. It just kind of came naturally. It was a lot of work. I'm not saying it was easy, but this felt like the way I want to draw at the time. And I just really love how the watercolor bleeds into each other. And it's just like has a bit of humor in it too, because he's picking up his own poop. He's a responsible little dog. No one around will carry the blame for you, so like he's taking responsibility for what he did, and that's kind of the concept. And I just like the way it turned out. I also have prints of this if you want any on my shop. I just don't know how many people would want to hang that on their wall. This was a group project, just a panel from a story. It was kind of a storyboard exercise. Not the best composition, not a huge fan of this, but I did it. Oh, this was also the same project as the dog one. It's just kind of hard to see the squirrel in the concept, and it's not the most unified thing, but I did have fun painting it, and I learned some stuff about the medium of gouache and pastel. This was when I started to kind of get into pastel more, and I kind of forgot about pastel, so there's a lot of things I'm seeing that I need to bring back that I was trying to sort of accomplish with my art. This was a collage assignment, which I forgot that I was like pretty happy with how this turned out. I really liked the composition of how the snake tail leads you in. He kind of blends in too much with the grass, and I made the grass blue, which was a mistake because then it automatically looks like water, and that's not what I want, obviously. But doing collage was kind of fun, and the only thing about collage is it's not the way I want to work. It just feels too crafty to me. The way I do it, I'm not patient enough. I prefer to make lines and paint rather than glue stuff on. And I feel like I was trying to make it into a painting even though it's a collage. Like I would paint over the pieces of paper. So I kind of defeated the purpose of the collage. And it's not my favorite way to work, but I might take collage elements into my illustrations in the future, maybe more in a subtle way. If you watched my other art school videos, you might have seen this one where I kind of showed, I showed you how I made it, or this might be the redone version of the one I did in the video. But I like the textures I was able to achieve. I did tissue paper first and then painted over top of it. It was kind of a lot of work for not the best effect. I mean, I think it looks okay, but it was kind of pointless. It's not really pointless, but it was interesting to try putting down the base of textured paper and then painting over top of that. It was hard to control the values with it though, because it would absorb color really weirdly. This was a metaphor that doesn't really make sense. I tried to render the background nicely, and then I just kind of realized at the end it didn't make much sense at all. So I'm not like very happy with that one. This is part of a inventory thing. This is my entire plant shelf, which actually isn't in my room anymore. I actually moved that, but I'm going to be doing a room tour, studio tour soon. Or my setup, I guess, because I don't have a studio. It's just in my room. So I had to draw out all the things that were in your desk. And here's the final. I just wish it was just this and not this part, because it's a little bit confusing. I wasn't totally sure what the requirements were, I guess. But I do like the way I painted the snail. I did it digitally. Here's the older version of the black and white you just saw. I redid it because this one had some problems with contrast, so I wanted to fix them and make the focal point a bit more obvious. Here's the first panel. It was a narrative assignment, so we had to illustrate 4 scenes from a story in different formats. So here's the first one. It's a bunch of robbers chasing a carriage, and then they find the girl in the carriage. They take her to the cave, and then the final scene, there's a whole bunch of children in the castle. I think the story was called The 3 Robbers, but I worked really hard on that, and it's kind of funny how different this looks from my art now. The colors were a lot more flat. And here's the last one from this stack. It was an acrylic painting exercise. Looking at her face now, I do not like the way I drew her face. But I like the house, and I like the purple tones that I used. I think with more time, this painting would have been better. But I'm okay with how it turned out for what I did. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not the best thing either. Acrylic paint usually isn't my most favorite medium, but it was nice to kind of be forced to do an illustrative painting with it, because usually we just use it in life drawing. And there was one digital assignment that I wanted to show you, which is this postcard. It was an assignment where we had to kind of create a world, and it was a digital painting sort of assignment, so we had to use custom brushes and work with color, work with Photoshop or whatever program you wanted, and make a finished digital piece, I guess. I think that was the requirements. There's one more here. Forgot about this. This used to be displayed in windows, but I took them out for easier storage. So this is another storyboard assignment. Let me just find the right order here. Okay, so it's the Selfish Giant. It starts with him lying in his room, kind of glum. He hears a bird singing, and which means that spring is there. So he's looking outside like, how could spring be here if there's no children? And he sees all the children are playing in the trees, and I should have colored the children better. These are actually cropped more like this and this. They're quite small. I think they're like 2x3 or something, or 3x4. Then he goes downstairs in his blue house. I really liked using pastel with this. He opens the door and it's very warm outside, and he sees the child. Oh no, sorry. I don't remember which one was first. He sees the child sad, and he goes up to the child, lifts the child up. So this was cropped here, so that wasn't really shown, and it's cropped here. He lifts the child onto the tree branch, and then everything is green. And I really like this panel. I should post this to Instagram. I like the colors I was able to achieve with that. It's such a nice green. That was also one of the last assignments we did. So I hope you enjoyed seeing all of the art I created in 1 year. This is my second year. I had a year before this, but I didn't really make a video about that year. I have 2 other videos that come before this showing you all the process that went into these. There's a lot of stuff. The videos are very long. If you want to go check them out, I will link them. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.